Hi again, Mark here from TalkingBass.net. This week's going to be the latest in the slap bass series of videos, and I'm going to be covering one of the most useful slap techniques in the fretting hand muted palm slap. Now, you might have already managed to nail this technique because it can happen quite naturally when practicing the ghost notes that I covered in the earlier slap lesson. The kind of effect that we're after sounds and looks like this. Okay, so again, like in the ghost note lesson, we're just after this dull thud kind of sound that can seem pretty useless. But when used in conjunction with the other techniques like slapping and popping and muting and hammer-ons, we get the following kind of effect. Okay, so we're eventually going to be able to play that riff and set of fills, but first let's look at something really simple. We'll try getting used to the basic muted palm slap by alternating a slap and muted palm slap like this. Okay, so first of all, let's try the muted palm slap. I find it helps if you bar or rest the first finger on the A, D and G string and then use the rest of the fingers to hit the string, like that. So you're pretty much using the second and third finger over this, over the knuckles on this side of the hand to whack down there. And it's a little bit like the ghost note when we slap like that, but we're using this hand just to get that thud. You don't want a fretted note like that. Just use that to get that whack. So now we have that palm slap, we'll try alternating an open E string slapped like that with the muted palm slap like this. Start slow and build up speed, although don't worry about getting too fast with it just yet. Aim for perfecting the sound of the muted slap without getting any fretted notes. So we have. Okay, and you can perform that slap anywhere on the neck really. So, or down here. Okay, so that muted palm slap serves to choke the note and simultaneously give us this kind of percussive sound that's really good for all the drum style percussive slap riffs that you'll hear from people like Mark King in level 42. So let's just try it again, build up speed. A little quicker. Okay, so now let's try a basic riff. We're going to alternate between an open E and some muted slaps like this. Okay, so it's a little bit like a drum rhythm. So slowly we have the open E string, followed by the muted palm slap. I'm also slapping down with the thumb in order to give a good sense of time. So. And the thumb's going to hit down on 2 and 4 in the manner of a snare drum, like I've done on quite a few of the exercises before. Okay, and then we're going to use 3 E string hits along with the palm slap. Okay, so we have E, palm slap. So we've got 3 E's with the palm slaps. Okay. Think of the rhythm as more a dun, dicka dicka dam, rather than, just where the open E's are. Dun, dicka dicka dam, dam, dicka dicka dam. Okay, so then at the end of the riff, we've got another muted palm slap or ghost note, and then an open E to bring us back round. So really slowly, the entire riff is. Okay, and that last E at the end of the bar, I'm choking that quite short as well, so I'm using this hand quite a bit. Okay, so again, slow. Okay, so here it's choking. So you're almost getting a muted slap between that last E and the start of the next bar. So as per usual, there's a PDF of this lesson material available to download from the info below or from talkingbass.net. So let's start again slow and I'll gradually build up speed. A little quicker. And a little quicker. And all the way through this, notice how I'm, like I said before, I'm using the A, D and G string there. I'm just barring lightly. I'm not barring down, I'm not pushing down on the notes. I've just got my finger rested lightly across there, and I've got it around the 5th fret there on the D of the A string and then across. So roughly there, and then I'm using the rest of the fingers to hit down there, okay? Okay. So, as I mentioned earlier, you can probably feel how this becomes a little bit like the two hands of a drummer, and all these percussive riffs are all influenced by that drumming motion. You can play rudiments, like paradiddles, anything that you can play on drums between the two hands, you can play slapped between these two hands. So that should give you a good idea of how this muted palm slap works. So now let's move the riff through a chord progression to see how it sounds in different areas of the neck. So we'll move the riff through C, F and G. So we've got C here, 3rd fret on the A string, F, 1st fret on the E string, and G, 3rd fret on the E string. Okay? So F, G, C, G. Okay. So you'll notice how the F and the G are less effective because the muted palm slap takes place too close to the fretted notes on the E string. We're doing the banging on the E string. The C's fine, but then when we get to the F, we get more of a choked note than we do the percussive whack that you get there. See, it just chokes the note slightly. So now let's try a slightly different riff and we'll start to develop some speed. This is the riff that I used to demonstrate the technique earlier, and it goes like this. For this riff, we're going to use a popular action and movement that's used in loads of slap lines that moves from a full note to a fretted hand muted palm slap to a ghost note slapped with the thumb. So, okay. So that's the action. So, E, muted palm slap, and then thumb. A little quicker. And so now let's try the whole riff. The action that we just covered is a group of 3, so we have 4 of that group like this. And then we have a slap and a palm mute again, so a group of 3 and then a group of 2. So really slow. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. A little quicker. 1, 2, 3, 4. And a little quicker. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we're going to add a hammer on to complete the riff. So we've got a hammer on from here at the 5th fret on the A string, the D, hammering on to the E, 7th fret on the A string with the 4th finger. So 1st finger to 4th finger, okay? We slap the D, hammer on. And because the 1st finger's barred here at the 5th fret, while we've been doing the palm slap there with the remaining 3 fingers, it's just a case of holding down the D already in position, okay? Okay, so the entire riff. Okay, so we have the 4 groups of 3 and then a group of 4 as it is now. So the final group of 4 is a open E, palm slap, hammer on in isolation. Again, the whole riff. So now let's try that whole riff, slow and then building up speed. Okay? So. So that's the basics of the fret in hand muted palm slap. So now let's look at a few more applications. Now, first of all, we can use it to get a neat flam effect. Now, if you've seen any of my video on bass fills, then you'll know what I'm talking about. But if not, let's take a look. So this effect can sound like any one of these examples. So we have or. Okay, so we're getting this kind of flam effect, like a drrrr moving into a lick or a rest of a riff or whatever. Okay, so let's take a look at the action that I'm using. First of all, we'll try it slow with an open E string. So fast, we have this action. Okay, so I know that it can sound like the thumb's doing something really, really fast, but the effect is actually coming from the coordination of the hands. If I only play what the thumb's doing, we get this. Okay, but then put it together with the left hand, and we get diddle-da, diddle-da. And then thumb on its own. So the thumb's not really moving fast at all, it's just the coordination between the hands. So the action slowly is open E string slapped, then we have the muted palm slap, and then just two open E's again slapped. So we have, and that's it, very slow. So let's build up speed, so a little quicker. Little quicker, little quicker, and full speed. Okay, so we've gone from, which sounds like nothing, to which sounds like a really fast lick that if you didn't know what I was doing, it might be quite hard to figure out. Okay, now let's try some different notes. So we'll first of all try some notes on the A string. So let's try a C at the 3rd fret of the A string, fret with the first finger, and then just, because you're holding it flat, allow the finger to rest lightly across the D and G strings. Don't worry about being exact, just hold a relaxed hand flat rather than with curved fingers. So now use the remaining fingers for that flapping action. So slow. Quicker, and full speed. Start slow and gradually build up speed. Now let's try moving that action from note to note. So we'll follow the notes C, D, E flat, and D. So 3rd fret A string, 5th fret A string, 6th fret A string, back to 5th fret A string. Okay? C, D, E flat, D. So we have. We can also add a hammer on to this move to give us this kind of effect. So this lick is going to be a D to an E, 5th fret to 7th fret of the A string. And again, we're going to be fretting with the first finger and line the finger lightly across the strings. So we get slowly. So the D, the fretted palm slap, 2 Ds, and hammer onto the E. Little quicker, little quicker, A little quicker. And full speed. Okay, so it's that flammed effect moving into the D and the E. If we incorporate this into a riff, then we can get the following. So this riff's going to use the same group of 3 that we used in the previous riff of open E string, fretted and muted palm slap, and then a ghost note with the thumb. So we're going to do that twice. So we have, then we have 3 open E's alternating with the muted palm slap. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So then we're going to add the hammer-on lick, which if we play slower, okay, so incorporating it with the riff. And a little quicker. Full speed. You'll probably find this hammer-on licks a lot easier quick than it is slow, which seems a little bit odd, but it's mainly to do with the fact that when you play it fast, it's just an action between the hands and like a roll. When you play it slow, you're having to actually think of individual notes and the actual rhythm of it. Whereas when it's quick, it's just a roll between the hands. But persevere and try to start slower and then work your way up, because you'll gain more accuracy that way. So now let's add a pop into the proceedings. So we'll use the E on the A string there at the 7th fret, and we're going to hit the octave E at the 9th fret on the G string after the flam. So we have slap, then the left hand palm slap, slap, pop. Slap, muted palm slap, slap, pop. Which when you build up speed eventually becomes. Okay, so this is a real flam into that top E. So we'll start slow again and build up speed. So this type of lick can be used to flam into longer lines, like this. Now you might recognise that line as one of the fills that we used in the hammer-ons lesson, and you'd be right, it is. So we're going to use that same lick, and this time we're going to flam into it, okay? So we're going to use the flam from the E to the E there. So we've got the 7th fret up to the on the A string up to the 9th fret on the G string. So we have slap, and on slap, slap, pop. And then we're going to have a hammer on from the D, the 7th fret on the G string, up to the E 9th fret. And that's popped. So we pop the D and then hammer on. And I'm hammering on with the 3rd finger. So. And then we're going to have a ghost note, slap and pop on the A string and D string, and G string. So we have. So we have to go from the hammer on to then resting the hand across, which is a fairly quick move, I suppose, but it should fall quite naturally after a while. So. And then we're going to have a hammer on from the A to the B. So this is from the 7th fret to the 9th fret on the D string. Really slow. Now we're going to have a ghost note on the D string after hitting the B, so we have A to B, then and then we're going to hit the D up on the 7th fret of the G string again. Okay. And again, incredibly slow. And you want to just work that up to speed until full speed. Okay, and then we're going to use, again, we're going to use a mute, slap and pop, ghost notes on the A and the G string. And then we hit the G, 5th fret on the D string, slapped. And you can put a little bit of vibrato or a little bend, quarter tone bend. So finally, let's have a look at another one of the fill types that you can use with this muted palm slap, and it's the infamous triplet lick that you see many bass players using, like Mark King, to get those flamboyant percussive lines. So first of all, let's have a see what it sounds like. So this is one of the static triplet lines. Okay. So let's get straight into it. We're going to bar the first finger across the A, D and G strings here at the 7th fret, and you want to pop the D on the G string, okay? And then we're going to use the left hand muted slap, and then we're going to slap the E here on the A string at the 7th fret. So we have pop, muted palm slap, slap. And that's it, that's the whole lick. So we have, and we just build up speed. These triplets take time to get up to speed, even though there's not much to it. But once you really nail the action slow, you'll be surprised at how quickly that you improve. Don't run before you walk. It's really tempting to just start flailing away, but just trust me, if you slow it right down, so even though that's really boring and it seems like you're not getting anywhere, you will improve a lot quicker. The minute that you start trying to go at that speed, it'll just all become a mess. So start really slow and just build up speed. And when you reach a tempo where it starts to get messy and you start to lose coordination, just hold at that tempo. Don't go any faster. And every time that you practice, just play it at that tempo. Then increase a little and a little. And before you know it, all of a sudden, you'll think, oh, I've got that action. It's working. That's cool. And then once you can do it, it'll just come to you, and you'll just be able to go as fast as you want, really. Quite simple once you get it. So once you've mastered those triplets, you can add some other notes into the lick. So let's finish the lick with a hammer on from the D to the E on the G string, 7th fret to the 9th fret. So we'll play the triplet 7 times, and then we'll have the hammer on to finish. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, hammer on. Okay? So think of that as a 4 and a 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and you can put that hammer on anywhere, really, just where you want. Now for a variation on those triplets, we can add an extra slap for this kind of effect. So slowly we keep the hand in the same position that we did for the first triplet. So we've got the hand barred across there at the 7th fret. We have pop, fretting and muted palm slap. So the muted palm slap, slap. So we have pop, muted palm slap, slap, then slap, muted palm slap, slap. Okay, so pop. So think of it as 2 sets of 3. So pop, muted palm slap, slap, and then slap, muted palm slap, slap. 1, 2, 3. Which, when you build up speed, this is a much harder triplet to play, so start very slowly and increase speed gradually. The thumb's got to work a little harder because the pop isn't there at the start of the second triplet to give you a breather, so there's lots of thumb work. So again, we'll start really, really slow and just build up speed. Okay, and if you combine that with the other triplets as well, you can get some other effects. Okay, so I'll leave it there for now for these muted palm slaps. There's way more fills like that triplet one that I just showed you on my dedicated slap fills lesson. I've avoided covering the Mark King style triplets on this lesson, so you're going to have something to look forward to on that other fills lesson. So if you've now covered each of the slap lessons in turn, you should be ready to move on to covering all those fills. In the next slap lesson, I'll be covering some popular and famous slapped lines, so you can see how all these techniques come together and are used by all the big names like Larry Graham, Louis Johnson, Marcus Miller, Mark King. So subscribe to the YouTube channel or talkingbass.net to get news on all the updates. I release 1 or 2 lessons each week, so keep an eye out for those. Also check out all the other lessons on my YouTube channel or take a look over at the lesson map at talkingbass.net. There's loads of articles and downloads to be found there too, and there's a free ebook download of my scale reference guide for subscribers. And then if you want to take it a few steps further, then check out the study book of scales for bass guitar. That's available at the talkingbass.net store. It's got an encyclopedia of scale patterns and loads of exercises and practice routines to keep you going for quite some time. So check that out too. Okay, see you later.